Hello everyone, it is Nightwing the Night Fury, and as you can see, I am playing a Trigun fan game called Ghost of Gunsmoke. It is a visual novel where you get to romance a few of the characters from our beloved show, just in case you're wanting a bit more content while we wait for Trigun Stargaze to come out. Now, I will say it is just a demo, but it is getting very close to being semi-released. One of the routes is almost done, but I cannot say more. It is not my place to. All I can say is that I will leave a link to the game in the description so that you can download it and play it yourself if you so choose. And from there, you can also join the Discord if you want to. But anyway, let's just get into it. I have played this before, but I'm just really wanting to play it again, so let's get into it. Don't know what to do with my mouse. Welcome to the demo for the Trigun visual novel, also called Ghost of Gunsmoke. Fun name, right? First of all, remind me, what's your name again? Hello, Hen. Just call me Nightwing, even though that name does not suit this character design at all. And your pronouns, I go by she, her. Yep, that's the ones I pick. Ah, you've also been traveling with someone else for a while now, haven't you? Must be quite the story behind this fella. Tell me what you named him. I'm just gonna go with Terrence, because I like that name. You must be confused why you're here. Well, if you must know, this is a dream. Sometimes you'll come back here so we can check in on your progress through No Man's Land. I might not be the one greeting you next time, though. Who knows, it could be someone entirely new. Depends on who you think about before you fall asleep. So if I'm here, you must be thinking about her then. How sad. I'm expecting big things from you. You haven't dreamt like this in a while. Must be a sign that change is coming. I cannot decide on a voice that I want to give them. Wow. Well, already starting off with a bang. That is not what I meant. There are a series of guns shooting at a group of men sitting on their knees. Behind them is a large sinkhole. Get my mouse out of the way. Oh my goodness. Well. As they are shot, they fall into the hole and sink till there is no one left besides a woman holding a child, back facing the group. A sly grin was on her face as she pressed her hat on the kid's head and shielded them from the barrage of bullets. Blood starts to trail down her face and the kid cries out. They all sink and fall. So we're traumatized. I already know this, why am I saying that? It's free, you guys. I gotta be entertaining somehow, yippee. My focus snaps back suddenly to the miles of desert ahead. Same old sand and same old annoying worms. Walking through the dunes of No Man's Land wasn't exactly thrilling. It was easy for the mind to wander and allow festering memories to creep back into my brain. I used my arm to block the midday sun from my line of sight. Something else had been on my mind before I let my mind wander. What was it? My stomach growled. Oh, food. Man, I'm starving. I muttered more to myself than my traveling companion. Speaking of which, I fixate my gaze on the screaming man we captured, trapped tightly in a thick cocoon of rope. I couldn't wait to turn him in and forget his greasy mud. Greasy. Maybe burgers? Hey, we're getting close to your old stomping grounds. Know any good restaurants in town? Untie me now, I'll put a bullet in that little skull of yours. Well, actually, maybe we should just buy a bunch of snacks instead and stay on the go. The tantrums were kind of funny at first, but it was getting a bit stale. Don't ignore me, asshole. A series of short beeps and boops came from my large companion. Excuse me. I tilt my head at his suggestion. Buy ingredients. That's a lot of work. Not sure I'm up for it tonight. More quick beeping. Clearly he's indifferent. He's a robot after all. Suppose it doesn't affect him either way. I shrugged. It wasn't a bad suggestion, bud. Tying this guy down just took a lot of energy out of me, that's all. Thinking about food this far out from town wasn't a good idea anyway. It'll just make me hungrier. Lewis's bounty poster rested in my hand as we walked. You've got quite the track record, Lucky Lewis. All the robbing and murder paints a pretty intimidating picture. I grinned mischievously, thinking about how loudly he squealed when Terrence came crashing through his hotel room. Yeah, real intimidating. To think this guy gave us a real run for our money yesterday. Those spindly legs could really move. No wonder he'd avoided capture up to this point. Wanted alive for $500,000 double dollars. He started to look more and more like a shiny check in this Mirage Desert heat. It'll be good to pay for an actual meal instead of finding another twist on roasted worm kebab or cream of worm stew for the second week in a row. Lewis's disdain for me was all too apparent, so he shifted his attention to the large imposing bot next to me. Looks like he wanted to bargain with the big man instead. I watched with mild curiosity. Lewis wasn't exactly silver-tongued. Hey, big guy, let me go and I'll pay you double whatever the hell she's paying you. I kept grinning as I waited for my friend's answer. Oh? Terrence had always been pretty scary looking. He unnerved regular folk and thugs alike with his large misshapen body and the strange, low rumblings that echoed from his chest. Sure, he beeped and booped around me, but when we were around other people, he seemed to turn deadly silent. When he got like that, he reminded me more of a guard dog than anything else. I was pretty used to him and all his little habits by now. Hell, I'd say it was pretty endearing. Before Lewis could try and sweeten the deal, the massive robot halted his rigid movements, leered at him over his shoulder, and let a deep, rumbling echo from inside his chest cavity. So that's a no then, right? His red eyes locked onto the pathetic man. The low rumbling seemed to mean, be quiet. He said he'll skin your hide if you don't shut your trap. Message received. Lewis's mouth stayed shut after that. He kept on wriggling pointlessly, though. That rope wasn't coming off anytime soon. I smirked. Good try. The town came up the horizon fairly quickly. What a sorry sight this place was. The old buildings creaked and ached in the blistering sun. But, of course, the local bank was being kept in pristine condition. Funny how that worked. How else would a place like this be able to put up a bounty as high as this guy's? Terrence stayed perched outside while I moved to lug in Lucky Lewis by the rope. This is such a fun game. I love story-driven games. Especially when they're about things I really enjoy. Tears stained the sunburnt mess of a man as I threw him in front of the sheriff. Good morning. Lewis tried to slink his way over to the officer, and away from me. I'm begging you, just arrest me already. But enough about him. My undivided attention shifted to the surprised sheriff. The man looked over the wanted poster and scratched his head. Well, this is definitely Lewis. Let's book him. A few other officers came into the room and dragged Lewis away. The officer waved me over to his desk. Payday! I eagerly followed and began to anticipate my newfound wealth. $500,000 was nothing to sneeze at in this shithole economy. What was going to pay for any mechanical bits and bobs, groceries, a better gun cleaning kit, the damages to the hotel? A different officer approached with an envelope and handed it off to the sheriff, who threw it towards the end of his desk. It looked a bit thin. Huh? He raised a brow at me incredulously. What? I picked up the envelope and looked it over before tearing the top of it open to peek inside. Is there a check in this? What? No, that's for $50,000. My face scrunched up. The bounty said 500,000. It did, and then he got a reprint update. My heart stopped. A reprint? Yeah, you can go now. The officer pinched the bridge of his nose, only now that I noticed the stress lines all over his face. Trust me, it's a pain in the ass for us too, kid. July City Military Police want certain bounties to be prioritized over others, so they're making us lower the bounty on scumbags with lesser offenses. Ugh. Can I get one line that doesn't have me mess up? I was shell-shocked. When the hell did the military police get to pull stunts like that? Someone with deep pockets must have pulled some strings. But why? What bounty was so damn important? I'll stay quiet. It took every fiber of my being to bite my tongue on the issue, not like it was his fault. How long would we be able to last on measly 50,000? We'd probably only make it on that kind of budget for a few months before we'd be scraping worm guts off the sand again. Well, who got the VIP treatment then? Vash the Stampede. I groan. Are you serious? The legendary outlaw with a reputation for destroying everything in his path. With the spiky hair and red coat, he stood out like a bullseye. Does he? I don't know, bro. People in the original show didn't really recognize him that much. At least in Tri-Stamp, they've got like a one poster to go off on. I mean, no, I need to finish 98 before I start spewing out random junk. Anyway, man will slaughter the innocent, does the most evil of evil deeds with the price of $6 million double dollars on his head. I know that line. Yeah, no, I didn't need another headache right now. Can you get out of here? I don't need a bounty hunter looking around here. I pocketed the money and flopped out of the rolling chair. I always point me towards the bounty board. The man oh so graciously gestured forward to the entrance of the building. I slunk out of the station, kicked the door open haphazardly, and rendezvoused with my Terrence. Terrence made a series of excited electronic drills as my body made contact with his back. Looks like we've been left out to dry this time, bud. All because of a certain humanoid typhoon. A low weep, his feet sunk into the sand a bit further into the ground. That is not what that said. Why did I? Ugh. Hey, I don't like it either. Blame the oh so great city of July and whatever rich asshole wants him. They really have it out for this guy. My eyes locked onto the bounty board, Terrence following not too far behind. Guess we're just gonna have to dive into another hunt. Anxiety hit my gut as I read the newly printed wanted posters. Jeez, they basically just took a few zeros off the end of all of these. We took a lot of time and money into tracking Lewis, and we had nothing to show for it. And the money we did make was maybe enough to buy food for a few months. This didn't include repairs, no equipment, or hotels. We'd have to scrape by for a bit if we wanted to make it last. No one had really caught my eye. Andy the Bull, Three Eye Elliot, New Neo Newton. None of these were even worth sneezing at anymore. There had to be somewhat. Things are getting serious. My eyes froze on a certain name, a certain face, certain wrinkles and certain dull eyes. Him. I didn't even bother to read the name. Didn't have to. I knew him just by a different name. The Shepherd. After years of staying under the radar, that scumbag coward piece of trash had a bounty on his head. He wasn't nearly as high as some of the others on the board. Only 40,000. Like that mattered anymore. I ripped his wanted poster off the wall and with a small blurb of information scribbled on the side. Last known location. He had been here only a day ago. You passed stuff. Lovely. He had not participated directly in the slaughter, but nothing stung worse than his betrayal. To the gang. To Fox. Without another word, I just quickly approached Terrence and pressed a button on his chest, opening it up to reveal a small assortment of items. I dug into a small lockbox near the back of the storage area. In my grip was a photo faded and tattered by the passage of time. Depicted were a number of different men and women standing together in front of an assortment of motorcycles and cars. A series of faces were circled with a pen. A different colored pen had added X's on top of many of the circles. 4 remained without an X. I ran my thumb over the visage of an older-looking man. His posture was relaxed, with his hand resting on the shoulder of a lone child. I was going to tear him apart for what he did. I stuffed the photo back into its box, slammed it closed, and shoved it back into Terrence's chest cavity. My hand stayed steady on the cold metal for a while. I flinched as Terrence took a step back and pointed eastward. He never spoke, but he always seemed to know just what to do to bring me back. He needed me to focus on what had to be done. Hell or high water, I would seek the Shepherd. Time to move. I love this game so much. Also, hydration break. Yoink! After about a day of traveling, we arrived in a new town. If our sources weren't trying to bullshit us, he was somewhere around here. My mind wandered back to my time with the gang, away from him when he grabbed my arm. I wanted to help Fox. She was the one who took me in, after all. Well, it was more than that, really. A few years I got to spend with her were the best years of my life. Shepard insisted that saving Fox at that point was a lost cause. The Weasel was gunning for her. He probably said some other things too, but none of it mattered. Coward. He knew what was going to happen and didn't say anything to stop it. His loyalty meant nothing. His care meant nothing. He never cared. Liar. What did he get up to after he left? Not that it mattered. It shouldn't matter. It would be easier to focus on what he did and... Worm. I grimaced as it landed on my map. My stomach turned at the thought of another bug-based stew. The disturbance was enough to make me take notice of the gloomy-looking town ahead. I could barely remember the trek here. Time always flew faster when I thought about the past for too long. The memories of many desert travels with Terrence just got brushed over. Nothing really memorable tended to happen anyway. Just a lot of walking or sleeping, an occasional story here or there, that's all. Apparently he was somewhere in the small town named Little Augustine. He was an avid drinker from what I remembered, and that was enough of a hint to know where to start my search. Time to scope out the local bar. The town itself, if you could even call it that, was fairly small. It was mostly snack vendors, shacks, and outhouses, but there was a pretty lively-looking bar sitting off somewhere in the middle of this dull assortment. It was definitely a pit-stop town, and no plant, even fewer reasons for people to settle here. Before stepping inside, I lightly nudged Terrence. I need you to disappear for a bit, bud. He was too big to not to draw attention. Terrence's presence usually brought a sense of unease to regular folks. Shepard would probably book it. Terrence didn't seem to mind. He heaved himself over to the alleyway nearby, careful to stay in the shadows and dimmest lights. The corners of my lips pulled up into the smallest smile. He slowly lumbered past me, heaving his full weight from one foot to the other. Despite his size, he always reminded me of a turtle when he tried to sneak around. Alright, study your mind, Nightwing. Time to hunt. I pushed open the doors. Ooh. The scene was crowded, people happily singing songs that they didn't know the words to, a waitress trying her best to push past groups of men without spilling anything on her shirt, and a few people chatting. I spotted an open bar stool next to a very drunk man in a red coat who was laughing with the barkeep. Excuse me, goodness. While he was trying to stumble his way through a bad joke, I waved down the barkeep for some water. He was more than happy to excuse himself from the weird man. As the barkeep walked over to me, I placed Shepard's wanted poster on the table. He narrowed his gaze at me. Have you seen this guy around? A lot of people coming in and out of here. Come on, leathery skin, ugly mug, you can't miss him. I'd pushed the topic. The barkeep's eyes stayed steady on me. Either he was uncomfortable or he knew something. He had to know something. I stared him down.
Excuse me.
There he is, our boy! A soft voice cut through my plans, and I was suddenly faced with a spiky-haired blonde, a wide, toothy grin on his face. He was sporting a pair of big, nerdy-looking sunglasses that awkwardly slid down the bridge of his nose when he laughed. Oh, looks like I was telling bad jokes earlier. I think I blocked his voice out, but now he was vigorously waving his hand in front of me. Can I help you?
Oh, you just seemed a bit down, friend. Got something on your mind?
Yeah? Unfortunately, we're not good enough friends to get into that whole mess. The drunk seemed to mean well, but it was concerning how quickly he'd picked up on my sour mood. I needed to calm down, blend in a bit more. If Shepard was here like I thought, then I needed to lay low. I took a sip of my water and leaned my arms against the bar top. I'll humor him a bit. I'm just looking for someone is all.
Who?
I really doubt you'd know him. He leaned towards me playfully.
Try me. I've met a lot of people.
I tapped the wanted poster and he squinted at the photo.
He looks sort of familiar.
Oh, really now? He was pretty drunk. Doubt he actually recognized the guy and just wanted someone to chat with. The man was nothing but well-meaning, no lick of danger to him. He used to be part of the Redfern gang. Ever heard of him? I was ready to challenge this nerd. No way he'd know this one. And there was a beat of silence long in the air as his eyes flashed bright with recognition the moment the name left my mouth.
I have, actually.
And there's some history behind that statement, clearly. Not expecting that kind of answer, I couldn't hide my confusion. You have? How? The Redfern gang had all but disappeared over 7 years ago. Any known remaining members had scattered to the wind. None were particularly notable besides, why do you know about them?
Oh, just from hearsay and rumors. Their leader was some fiery red-headed woman. Hung around the west end of No Man's Land. They were actually pretty close-knit and dangerous. If the stories are accurate, I mean.
Confusion riddled both of our faces as we stared at each other in an awkward silence. Poor guy probably just wanted to show off his knowledge. He smiled softly to try and ward off the tension that that had returned to the conversation.
You okay? Didn't mean to push any buttons, friend.
The urge to probe the man for more information was strong. I leaned forward and squinted at him. He leaned back, his already red cheeks burned even hotter. He looked to be around the same age as me. His bright red coat and glasses didn't really indicate where it was from either. All I had to go on was the weird patch logo on the jacket, the red seeds. An antique name of a long dead era. I'd occasionally see it whenever I'd have to scavenge for scrap metal to repair
Can
Terrence.
we, not stare so hard? Yeah, I'd rather not draw too much attention over here.
He seemed pretty nervous now. Did he not want to be recognized for something? The barkeep chimed in after he noticed my reaction. You know, you really got a knack of putting folks on edge. The blonde smile turned sheepish, his face tinted pink from the drink he was nursing. I pulled back quickly. I couldn't get riled up like that. But now my interest peaked. A fake grin grew on my lips. Sorry, it's just that when I heard that a member of the gang was around, I got really excited. There's sort of a mystery. The drunk seemed relieved to hear that.
Oh, yeah, they are. I actually know a couple of fun stories about them.
I had never paid much attention to any rumors that were spread about them. It might be fun to hear about them from an outside perspective. Tell me more.
Sure, but they're a bit long. I don't want to talk your ear off.
The barkeep scoffed at that comment. I simply waved the barkeep over for my own beer and grinned some more. I got time. An hour passed. The man tried to recount any stories he knew about the Red Fern gang. Emphasis on the word tried, because he kept cutting himself off to switch to tangent after tangent. Little notes about other towns or the people he'd met that I could not give two shits about. I just nod and drink. Another hour passed. More tangents. We weren't even talking about gangs at this point.
And the Thomas was only dyed red. It was all a weird scam.
He laughed. Obviously. My head was feeling a little light from drinking. He paused as he noticed my expression glazing over.
Sorry, I must be rambling.
No, I was just... Before he could say anything else, there was a new patron entering the bar. His steps were quick as he easily navigated through the crowded space. He beelined straight for a table near the back of the bar. The handoff was swift. A letter seemed to fly from his hand across the long table towards another man. The speedster quickly exited the bar through the back entrance, a small sum of cash now in his hand, as if the breeze had carried him on through. My eyes were magnetically drawn up to the man who was now unsealing the envelope. I'm going to fight myself. He was an older gent with leathery-looking hands, poorly aged in the beating hot sun. The distinct hat he wore gave away who it was. No doubt about it, that was who I was looking for. The shepherd. I calmly slid back from my chair. My drunk companion must have noticed my sudden change in demeanor because he tried to recapture my attention with a wave.
Hey, what's with the serious look all of a sudden? I'd like to hear your stories too.
I looked back a bit annoyed. Why did it feel like he was stalling? I'm afraid I don't have much to share right now.
We should try to avoid starting trouble.
A chill ran up my back at a slight change in tone. He still had that goofy grin plastered on his face, but his observation was strangely blunt and leveled. I keep my cool and grin. What if I wanted to? The intense energy immediately fizzled from him as he leaned in closer to me.
I don't think it'd be the best place for that is all. Folks here are just trying to lay low.
Yeah, especially considering that your wanted poster's right back there. Just saying, really easy to connect the two. Are we all idiots? Probably. I'm guessing you are too. He nodded and didn't elaborate further on that note.
Why not try to make a new friend instead? Variety is the spice of life after all.
He lightly tapped his mug of beer against mine.
Cheers!
I think I keep clicking too fast. It's because I keep reading everything too fast. Doubt he could even hurt a fly. What would a guy like him be hiding from? The annoyed aura I must have exuded melted away to match his energy. And you know, I think you're right when you're talking about making new friends. The strange blonde's eyes sparkled at my words.
Yeah?
Time to make a new friend. Over there. You know, break some ice and all that. His smile quickly faltered and he heaved a heavy sigh. Poor guy. Maybe in another life, but my fate was being tugged elsewhere. I made my way over to the bar table in the corner. Shepard didn't lock eyes with me as I rested my hand in front of him. His digits started to fidget on the glass of rum in his hand. Something I can help you with? The room seemed to drop out from around me as my eyes burned holes into his downturned face. Look at me. I stared down at him, memories of flying bullets and screams overtook my senses. He continues to avoid my gaze. Do you know who I am? Like you really need to ask. Then you know why I'm here. He pulled a lighter from his pocket. You made a mistake getting your name plastered on a wanted poster. A callous thumb casually flicked it open and closed. And now it's gonna get you killed. That's a risk I've known my whole life, kid. I hated how tired he sounded. He wasn't scared of me. His gaze stayed glued downward, even as I reached back to unholster my pistol. But my hand had nothing to grab onto. There was nothing in there. Where's my gun? My head whipped around to see what could have possibly happened. Shepard was finally taking notice of my fumble. Shit. And that's when my eyes locked on a familiar crimson coat trying to crawl away from behind me on the floor. My eyes wore into him as he sheepishly turned back to me, my guns in his hands. I wouldn't say that was a good icebreaker. How did you win? I noticed Shepard shifted positions. He briskly reached for something in his jacket. Before I could even think of what to do next, the side of the weapon was aimed at my face. It was far too late to try and bum rush him. Cover. Look for cover. But nothing was close by. I could feel my heart drop and my mind crawl to a slow stop. It was a shame that I couldn't recall anything of note at that moment. I felt my senses become overtaken by a familiar sense of sinking. Falling. Bang! A subtle pain shot through my body as I was yanked back. It wasn't the searing pain of a bullet hitting me, though. It was more like being squeezed against something warm. My vision was suddenly overwhelmed by warm blue hues pouring into me. My eyes shifted up and a metallic teal arm was reverberating slightly at the impact of a bullet. The bullet that would have killed me fell harmlessly to the ground. Are you okay? I could only stare back as his other hand pushed me closer into his chest. He was shielding me from further gunshots. Everyone in the bar began to shuffle around. Gunmen were beginning to draw their own weapons, reckless grins growing on their faces. Regular patrons and staff members were running through the hills, too. And into the ensuing chaos, I saw Shepard tear through the crowd and blend into the chaos. Who shot first? Well, whoever shot first ain't getting me. Me neither. People were shouting left and right, crashing and breaking through furniture. By the time the normal patrons had safely left, the bar was absolutely tarnished and brimming with drunk idiots looking for any excuse to punch someone. I noticed the blonde was staying put. Is he crazy? These guys would tear him apart. Perfect. I'm staying. Come on now. We're not out yet, but like, I want to get brownie points. I quickly pushed myself away from him, taking back my guns from his loosened grip. What the hell, man? As I got up, one of the thugs tried to bum rush me, but I just took a step back and watched him tumble into a table. Hey, watch it. Damn it, these idiots were in the way. As another one rushed me, I noticed him leading with his fist. I take a step back, then another as he continued to throw punch after punch, but nothing landed. I was practically dancing around this fountain. Eventually, we had made our way over to a table with some bottles sitting on them. I threw it up in the air and his eyes stopped following me and shifted to the bottle. I took the opportunity to roundhouse kick him in the jaw, sending him flying to the floor. Down you go! I caught the bottle and quickly threw it at the third guy who was trying to aim his pistol at me. Fell right in his ass, glass lodged into his forehead. Sorry about that, I'm kind of in a rush here. These men should have left when they had the chance. It looked like in the chaos, the man in the red coat was disarming a third or two as well, although he used the blunt end of his gun to quickly end his fights. Guess I misjudged him. Suddenly a large man grabbed onto my shirt. You! Oh, it was the barkeep. I grinned sheepishly. Oh, hello. My bar is ruined because of you. Okay, technically yes, but first off, it was already pretty gross. I could see veins popping on his temple. Maybe we can start fresh? Guess not. Close and surprising to find myself staring down the barrel of a gun. I pointed both of mine at him too. Wait! The blonde stepped between me and the barkeep. The fighting's gotta stop. No one's gonna get anywhere like this. I'm not going to try and do his voice. I'm not a voice actor, buddy. clearly because of how this has been. That friendly tone from earlier melted away. I'm sorry, sir. There seems to be some kind of misunderstanding. Move, Vash. This doesn't have anything to do with you. I stared at the man in disbelief as he said that name. This guy couldn't be the humanoid typhoon. There was absolutely no way. Well, it didn't really matter what I believed. And the man that was apparently named Vash tried to gently push the barrel of the gun to the side with his prosthetic-like hand. I think my new friend here is in shock after getting shot at by the man at the back of the bar. I bet she'll apologize, but we kinda stopped pointing fingers first, yeah? Come on, Peter, please. This guy was off his rocker. To my surprise, though, the man lowered his gun, muttering a curse or two under his breath. Well, I'm not really a fan of apologies. Worms ain't gonna fix his room up, that's for sure. His glare landed on me, and I blinked at him like a deer in headlights. Okay, kid, listen up. You're staying and you're cleaning. Yeah, I don't really clean. My eyes veered back to Vash, who would finally relax his posture and smiled over at me. You prefer I start shooting too? I'll just give in. No. Vash and I answered in unison, our postures were both stiff. The broom was hurled at my face and smacked me hard in the nose. Vash's face was left unscathed, and a simple rag was thrown his way. He fumbled his catch. You both started all the chaos in here, so now you're both gonna fix it up. Vash smiled graciously at the barkeep. I grimaced. Well, I guess I should be grateful that I don't have a hole the size of a shotgun blast in my chest right now. Great. That big glasses-wearing dork saved my ass twice now. Can we talk about how pretty the art in this game is, though? It's so nice to look at. Vash started to clean up the mess of the broken bottles at the front of the place, while I casually began to sweep the floor on the back to clear of any debris. When my broom brushed up against a piece of white paper, I paused and picked it up. This was the letter Shepard had received earlier. Please arrive at Capital Crest in a week's time. I'll wait for you at the chapel. Huh. No name, no context, no dear, even just a simple hello. Thought there was a place. Capital Crest. I'd only ever passed through there, so I didn't know it very well. I think there was some festival there that put them on the map. I stuffed the letter in my pocket and continued to sweep in silence. In truth, my mind was still buzzing from the earlier encounter. Seeing Shepard again was throwing me off. I despise seeing him look like such a sick old dog. What gave him the right to exist so quietly? He didn't deserve the extra years of time. Oh my god. He didn't deserve the extra years time had given him. My fist clenched tightly again around the handle of the broomstick. So, are you a bounty hunter? I snapped back to the present, the sound of Vash's soft voice. His hand was haphazardly ripping a random array of wanted posters off the wall as he waited for an answer. Before he could grab another, my hand reached it first and I ripped it off myself. The poster was damaged, but still legible at the bottom. Vash the Stampede, wanted alive. $6 million noble dollars, it read. Man on the wanted poster also had a dorky smile on his mug like the one in front of me, although it faltered in his eyes. Yes, sir? He must be that walking disaster I keep hearing so much about. He's the reason why every other goon's head was worth in breadcrumbs now. That long line of zeros across the paper captured my interest in Vash Bros. You should get them to take another picture. It's not exactly intimidating. I didn't watch for his reaction as I stuffed the wanted poster in my pocket and continued to clean. You're not interested? Of course I was. His bounty was high enough for me to retire 20 times over. But you're wanted by the July military police, right? Yeah? July is in the opposite direction of where I need to go. I said it plain as day. Hunting the rest of the Redfern gang was always going to take priority. Always. Money was just a means to get to that goal. My broom lightly hit the back of Vash's legs. He made a yelp sound and I grinned. Pretty jumpy for the most dangerous man on the planet. And then again, maybe those jumpy reflexes were the reason he was still alive. Thanks, by the way. He blinked at me. What for? For saving me? Twice now? A blush crept up his face. Oh! What's with that look? I'm not used to thanking people in the first place. The least he could do is accept it and never acknowledge it ever again, like a normal person. What? An annoyingly wide smile grew on his face. I guess I'm just not used to getting thanked. You didn't have to do that. Yep, definitely office rocker. Whew. Hey cats, how you doing? I've got two of them sleeping at my side right now and one that's just staring at me. We loves them. After finishing our cleanup efforts, the barkeep had generously offered to give the two of us our own rooms to stay in for the night. Hidden behind the bar was a small motel. Honestly, I was surprised that the man even offered to let us stay longer than necessary. Sounded like he was a secret softie. Before I exited the bar, my hand wandered into my pocket to feel for the cash from Lucky Lewis's bounty. It was technically my fault the saloon was trashed. I wondered briefly if I should help out that barkeep a bit more. Let's leave some money for him. I whipped out a chunk of the cash I'd gotten for Lucky Lewis's bounty. No prying eyes were around to see it casually being slipped behind the counter. I exited the bar with my hands in my pockets. That was pretty generous of you. My soul practically leapt out of my body as Vash's form towered outside the bar's entrance, along with Terrence. Play it cool. Don't know what you mean. Shit. Vash snickered but didn't say anything more. My attention turned to Terrence and I tapped my knuckle lightly against his chest. I see you two have met. The spot's yours? He's more like my partner. Vash paused to squint at me and then back up to Terrence as if he was trying to dissect the meaning of my words. In crime, not in life. Well, you didn't say. I just had a lot of questions about how that would work is all. Annoyance stung my features as I walked off towards the motel. What a silly goose, but we love him for it, and that is very pretty. Not too long after that, Terrence had set himself in sentry mode outside my room, and I was using our little electric griddle to cook up some grub next to him. Motels weren't really my usual style, so I opted to at least keep to tradition and eat under the stars with Terrence. He boops. I was playing with the skewer of meat, twisting it back and forth mindlessly. His non-stop noises forced me to stop. I refused to look up at him. He seems to be suggesting that I share food with a strange man. Not gonna happen, big guy. Terrence trills. I looked back and noticed Vash had left his room as well. He was sitting further off into the desert, just staring into the sky. I observed him curiously, biting into my kebab of meat. It seemed he had opted to leave those goofy glasses and jacket back in his room. Without that bold red surrounding him, he almost seemed to blend into the darkness of the night. My eye twitched and something twisted in my chest as I watched him. I regret turning my gaze away to look down at my companion. The bot could grin. I imagine he'd look pretty smug right now. Shut up, he's being weird. I can stare at someone for being weird. It was so hard for me to wrap my head around him being the Vash the Stampede. He couldn't be the real deal. He was a gunman, yes, but no way was he the humanoid typhoon. Box wouldn't lie. She nearly caught the actual man close to 20 years ago. Whoever this blonde guy was, he definitely wasn't that old. This was just some weird cowboy playing dress-up. But he almost took a bullet from me twice. Why was anyone's guess. But it was eating at me that he went out of his way like that. For a stranger like me. You must be hungry, kid. Here, eat already. The small child's dirt-covered hand stayed balled up in the small little fists as an older woman's hand held out a protein bar. She frowned at her. Come on now, you're all skin and bones. The kid turned away before the woman could lean in and get a good look at her expression. It was a bit hard to see with all this shaggy brown hair covering her face. And the silence between them was punctuated by the crackling of several small campfires. A lot of people were chatting over each other further away. But not over in Fox's corner of the camp. She had to deal with the weird mute kid she caught stealing from her tent at the ass crack of dawn. The other members of her gang were more than fine with teaching the kid a lesson and sending her running for the hills. But Fox saw something in her eyes when she gripped her away from her satchel. This hauntingly empty look, like a deer caught in the headlights. It sent a shiver up her spine, and she was defending the kid before she knew what she was doing. It was easy to smooth things over with the other outlaws in her gang. She was scrawny, but quick and could squeeze into places the crew couldn't. What's going on now? A new voice approached the fire, a deep, comforting twang in his tone as he stood over Fox. She moved from her rock and addressed her right-hand shepherd. He was a bit older than most of the other members than most of the other members of the crew, but pulled his weight around camp more than anyone else. His tired eyes searched his leader's face, hoping to mend whatever issue seemed to be plaguing her for the moment, though he had a good guess what it was already. Fox hopped before limply gesturing her protein bar at the kid. Kid's not eating. The kid flinched at the quick gesture, still apprehensive of her surroundings. Shepard's tired eyes paused on the kid, avoiding his intense gaze. Very slowly, he knelt down on his knee in front of the kid and pulled out a small pocket knife and flicked the blade up silently. The kid flinched back, and Fox observed intently. She looked at Fox. Her features were tinged with uncertainty. Jesus Christ, I cannot speak tonight. She simply offered a smile back. Shepard's hand danced with the small knife, playing around with it before moving to hold it by the end of the blade. He pushed the hilt towards the kid. Here. His voice was barely above a whisper. Very, very slowly, the kid held out her hand and firmly gripped the handle. Shepard let go and then looked away to pull out a piece of dried meat from his pack. Instead of waiting this time, he holds the meat out and tosses it over, aiming for the kid's free hand. She fumbled, but caught the small chunk. Dried Thomas meat is a bit hard to tear with your hands. Oh my god. You need to cut it into thin strips. He motioned the gesture, pushing a knife away from his body. Like that, got it? Confused, the kid imitated the gesture with the knife, pressing into the meat and trying to cut through it. She harshly pushed on it and managed to slice a misshapen chunk of the meat. It landed in the sand. She seemed proud of her show of force and reached down to grab at her snack, but it was quickly snatched up by Shepard. The small shock gasp she let out made him chortle. He started chewing at the dirty piece before tussling the kid's hair and standing back up. Slice a bit thinner next time. You'll get better at it. Oh my god, do I want to do voices or not? Because it would be fun. But on the other hand, he instructed the kid before looking back over at Fox. He seemed to be puffing his chest out a bit after seeing her look of disbelief. You never told me you were good with kids. I'm not, you're just really bad at it. Shepard walked away to join a different group while Fox sat back and watched the kid as she sat on the ground across from her, intently trying to cut another piece of the jerky. Huh. Fox bit into the protein bar. Be gentle. Background! Well, backstory. Vash was caught off guard by my sudden appearance at his side. Maybe I should have been a bit louder when I approached. The look on his face was interesting, to say the least. It was tired. Oh my god, contemplative. Jesus. I'd even lost in thought. Honestly, I didn't take him for someone who had that many deep thoughts. He just didn't look the type. Also, I forgot what I was going to say to him. Shit. I just looked like an idiot holding out a skewer of meat in front of him. And he looked at it, confused by the gesture. Finally, I spoke up. Here, you can have it. Vash seems hesitant for a second. You don't have to do that. It's fine. His stomach growled. Annoyance creased his features. Aw. Looks like your stomach disagrees with you. Vash paused before limply reaching forward for the kebab, but I pulled my arm back. Nuh-uh. I'm not a charity. I have some questions for you, Mr. Humanoid Typhoon. Then we can share. Vash hesitated. Why did you use yourself as a meat shield back in that shootout? I didn't want to see anyone get hurt. But you don't count in that equation? My body just kind of moves before I can think too much about it. I can take a hit or two. I couldn't help but grin at his convictions. Someone important to me used to talk a lot like that. Her smile was so much like his too. It was kind, but also very tired. I held out the sharp stick at Vash for a second with a cold stare before it melted into something a bit warmer. I held the skewer reversed and held the base of the stick out to him. You got a savior complex or something? Well, I wouldn't put it like that. I just don't like seeing folks get hurt is all. He took the skewer. His face lit up as he took a bite of the meat. Wow, this is pretty good. Thank you. He scarfed down the rest of the food a bit too quickly. That really hit the spot. My gaze moved to the stars. It's whatever. Far from it. I don't like to splurge our money, but I make an exception if it's for cooking. We can't really travel with perishables often, so dry spices really came in handy. It took a lot of experimenting around, burning food, eating different dry rubs, burning more food to get my dinner exactly the way I wanted it. Vash looked confused at first before smiling widely. Well, I wouldn't say October barbecue spices, whatever, but I appreciate it nonetheless. My eyes widened with a strange man. You could tell what I used? How? I took an eager step forward and stared at him, a bit dumbfounded. The fact that he knew what city it came from, he must have been a real connoisseur. Well, I move around a lot, so I've tried a lot of different kinds of food. He looked off to the side nervously. You must too. Most traders don't really sell that stuff outside the city. My pride swelled. I do. In fact, I've been to most of the major cities, so I pick up some interesting stuff. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And there was a beat of awkward silence between us before Vash flipped the empty skewer, holding out the base, allowing me to take it without any hesitation on his part. Goodness. I took hold of it, but he held on for a second, like he wanted to ask something, but ultimately kept it to himself. My mouth stayed shut too. Small talk is definitely not my strong suit. Actually, to be plain, I fucking hate it. There's another beat of silence. So, are you planning on traveling some more soon? He piped up to break the steady silence. He must have felt just as awkward, or maybe just sensed my own. I raised a brow. I am. What about you? He nodded. I am too. Almost in sync, we both pulled out a letter from my pockets. He held the folded piece of paper very carefully as to not crease and damage it too much. Back when I had found my own letter, I crushed it like a tissue, so it was a little worse for wear, but still legible. Capital Crest. We stared at each other for a second. Oh, great.
Oh?
Wait, really? That's great news. You'll really like it there. They have this festival there once a year that you can't miss. We're not going for sightseeing. What? He seemed to pout over that. I'm only going so I can get that guy from the bar.
Oh.
His features seemed to stiffen at my words. I didn't mean to upset him further, but he might as well know. Are you after his bounty? I paused for a beat. He didn't need to know the full truth. I nodded. He frowned and his gaze shifted to the sand. And I'm not going to stop looking. The number of near-death saves from you is going to change that. His brow furrowed. He wouldn't look up. Why did his reaction bother me? Come on, just look at me. Give up on this. As if he heard my thought, his bright blue eyes locked back onto mine. Can I make an offer? Well, I wasn't expecting that response. I silently waited for his reply. I had to humor this one last time. Let me help you. Huh? I'm serious. We're heading to the same place. I'll offer my skills to you, and in return, I'll help you catch this guy and turn him in. An interesting proposition, but... And how do you benefit? Don't you have your own business to take care of? I tilted my head at his own letter. Conflict seemed to stew in his eyes before he shook his head. I can do both. Handling this peacefully as possible. It has to be. The determination on his face was strangely endearing. Maybe I should let him help out. And it would keep him from interfering again and stopping the hunt altogether. Peace wasn't going to be an option next time I got a hold of Shepard, but Vash didn't necessarily need to know that. Okay, we'll go together then. A gentle smile cubed up on his face. Thank you. Besides, I definitely have some more questions for you to answer. Something Vash had said earlier caught my attention. He'd done a lot of traveling too. There'd also been something. A spark of recognition in his eyes when the gang's name was mentioned back in town. I mean, the Redfern gang wasn't exactly small back in their heyday. Maybe he knew about some of the other members, and that was a decent enough reason to keep him close by. About what? I stuck my hands into my pockets and started to walk away. I didn't need to elaborate for him. Vash hurriedly sprinted after my retreating form. Hold on, you gotta let me know what it is or I can't help you. I have a whole week's trip to ask you stuff. It can wait. Right now, I'm tired. I stored all my cooking materials inside Terrence's storage as we approached the motel once again. Vash's hesitance lasted for a few seconds, but he eventually took a step forward to his own door, right next to mine. A gentle smile formed on his face. Okay, that sounds like a deal. Usually I'm pretty good at reading people's faces. It wasn't hard to pick up on someone's true intentions when you look into their eyes, but they were like clear pools of water and they sparkled like the stars he had been staring up at. He was content. A slight blush crept up on my cheeks as I took in his features for the first time. He was strangely pretty. I was definitely staring at him for a bit too long at this point. Play it cool, Nightwing. Pleasure doing business with you, Vash the Stampede. As if in time with my grogginess, Terrence beeped and began to keep watching the land around us once again. He always went into sentry mode this late at night. I felt Vash's gaze settle on the two of us. Same to you, Oh, I forgot to give him my name. In my defense, I'm not used to giving it out. It's actually Nightwing. It's a pleasure to meet you, Nightwing. God, that smile is going to kill me. This is going to be an interesting hunt. You back here? Huh? Am I dreaming? What is this place? During certain milestones in the story, Nightwing would dream about the people they had come across throughout their life. How the person appears depends on how Nightwing sees them in their head. Here you'll gain insight into how your route is going. Yippee! I found myself sitting outside a strange-looking tent. The camp was strewn with all kinds of strange knickknacks and baubles. A wonderfully soft humming began to fill the room as a figure cloaked in red exited from the tent. Neither of us spoke a word as they sat across me on a large rug by the fire pit. The slanky figure who towered over me reached out towards me and picked up a dusty box sitting between us. That box was the only thing that felt familiar here. Inside sat a tarot deck. The design on the back was decorated with a flower. I hope I'm not disrupting your sleep too much. I didn't know about a way to contact you. I look up at the cloaked figure. The voice. There was more than one hiding in there. I don't usually dream, so it was definitely a surprise. Despite the strangeness of the scene, I felt at ease. Somehow I understood that this figure meant me no harm. The figure sheepishly laughed at my comment. Sorry about that. The figure began to shuffle their deck of cards with the grace of a practiced player. Ha-la-la-la-la. Are you going to do a reading for me? Ding ding, you pick up on things fast. I went a little all out for— Hey! While I was talking, my hands were wandering to the small table sitting behind us. There were a lot of snacks set up on top of it. I stole a donut. We're gonna eat after we finish up with business. Come on, you gotta let me do my thing. Please. I still shoved the whole donut in my mouth and licked my fingers clean before turning back to the figure. You can't blame me for being curious. I've never had a dream donut before. Well, did you like it? It tasted like a cloud. Hand me one too then, would ya? I tossed my gracious host a donut from the table and watched as they perfectly anticipated its landing destination. Strange. We had a mostly human-like hand to grab the deck. Now that I was observing the other arm, I noticed that it looked to be made out of what looked like black bramble, twisting to a muscle-like structure. Dangerous to the touch, but beautiful. The figure moved the donut into his hood and hummed as they ate. Okay, enough fooling around. We really have to do this. Oh yeah, tarot. Alrighty. I crossed my legs and watched as the cards were laid down in front of me. I've been getting pretty good at readings lately. Well, show me what you've got. I see 3 cards on the table. Click anywhere to flip the card. Okay, I will click the middle one. The Lovers. The Lovers card represents deep emotional connections, partnerships, and choice. This card signifies a significant relationship on the horizon. Remember, love is not just about deep passion, but also about compromise and being true to your values. How cute. Are you rolling your eyes at me? Then, right. The Star. The Star card is a symbol of hope, inspiration, and healing. In the context of new beginnings, your new pursuits are guided by a sense of hope and optimism. This card encourages you to seek out your desires. Trust that it will bring you love and peace. He made a little peace sign and crossed his index and middle finger. I try to imitate the hand movement back at him. Love and peace doesn't sound so bad, I guess. Now let's go with the left one, because we kinda have to. The Fool. The Fool card is a powerful symbol of new beginnings, oh my god, spontaneity, and taking a good old leap of faith. It suggests that you are at the start of a new chapter in your life, particularly in the realm of love. Jesus Christ. Soon enough, you may be changing your job title to Love Hunter. Embrace the sense of adventure and openness that comes with this card, and be willing to take risks in the matters of the heart. This tarot reading, it's signaling a new romantic journey. It's saying I should be hopeful and open to new change. This reading was strangely optimistic. I could feel my cheeks getting a bit warm the more I tried to read into it. Romance wasn't really something I'd considered for myself. The Lord just said it wasn't in the cards for me, but they literally were this time. The figure nods vigorously. Very interesting indeed, my friend. So, what was the point of this? Why show me my future? Well, it's not your absolute future. You're the conductor of your train of fate. I just figured it could help ease your mind a bit to know what might lay ahead of you on the path that you chose. I grinned callously at his optimism. You really think I can change my fate? I know so. The warmth and certainty in his voice shook me. No one's ever insisted I could do more. Was it possible to be more than just a ghost of the past? I sighed, my eyes shifted down towards the cards I had chosen. Is this going to be a recurring thing with us? I gestured from the cards back to him. The figure crossed their legs, matching my own relaxed stance. He tilted his head. Would you like it to be? Suddenly my head felt light. Now it was being pulled away by an overwhelming force. I think you're gonna wake up pretty soon. These dreams didn't benefit me, really. It had nothing to do with Shepard. Why did this figure want me to look to possible futures? Why do they want me to look forward? And why did this encounter make me feel so... Light blinds me, my eyes flutter open.
Hey!
Nightwing? The first thing that shields me from the overpowering morning sun from my window was not my usual companion, but I distressed looking down. Okay. Terrence started freaking out after knocking your door and I don't know what to do. Hey, are you crying? Still groggy from my rude awakening, it took me a few seconds to realize that Vash's hand was trying to wipe some dust and dry tears from my face. I don't pull away, but I feel his hand jerk away with a sudden yelp. The blue-haired red was slipped away in Terrence's grip, an alarm ringing from his body as he tightly gripped Vash. Oh, he was some sentry guard mode from last night. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to do nothing. Honest, ow! Disengage! False alarm, bud. As soon as my command was stated, Terrence suddenly released his visceral grip on Vash, dropping him into the sand. I rubbed my head and looked down at the man as he squirmed around, trying to get his bearings back in order. Sorry about that. I'm not used to having other people with us in the morning. Vash grimaced as he sat up properly. Make sure to warn me next time, please. I will. Next time. That didn't sound too off-putting to me. For some reason, I found his words comforting. He still wanted to be here. Ready? I look up to see Vash extending his hand at me once again. We'd better get moving to the next tab before it gets too hot to travel on foot. I think we're not too far out. His smile was warm and comforting. It reminded me of the strange dream Can't quite remember what that dream was about anymore. Damn. Maybe it'll come back to me after we eat. I stopped staring up at the doe-eyed man and finally take his hand in mine. Yeah, let's get going. And that is the end of the demo. Round of applause for the lovely people behind this game. I cannot wait for the full thing to come out. I'm very excited. Very eager. Yep, we got the credits. So I'm gonna let this roll for a bit longer. Just because, I mean, I gotta. But I want to support this somehow because I don't have a way to donate. So just... yeah, if you're interested in playing the demo for yourself and trying out the different endings whenever the game comes out, I would definitely recommend playing it. Of course, I am going to play through it and get all of the endings that I can eventually. I'm not sure how long that'll be, but hey, I am eagerly awaiting this stuff to happen. Now, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic day/night, and with that, I will see you all in the next one. Nightwing out.